to class summary. So this is an armhole princess that we're going to be making in this class. Now this is my paper. For the front part of the paper, which is my center front, I'm going to be marking the length of my blouse, that is the half length, shoulder to half length, 17 inches here. From the shoulders, I'm also going to be marking the under bust and the bust line, the under bust and the bust line. We've had so much videos on how to make a princess bustier, armhole princess bustier. From the bust line, I'm going to go up by 1.5 inches. That will serve as my armhole line. So I'll make a rule: waistline, under bust line, 1.5 inch above the bust line to get my armhole line. So those are the horizontal measurements that we have. Okay, so you do well to label them. Now going to the upper part, I'm going to mark the depth of my neckline. I'm using basic depth of 3 inches. Then I'll mark my shoulder line and the width of my neckline. Now this shoulder line is going to be modified later. I'll come down from the shoulder point by 1.5 and then slant it from my neck point. Okay, the neck point of 3 inches, that is where the slant is. Please do well to follow the instruction, to follow my voice as I'm talking. So I'm going to mark my shoulder so that I'll get it on a straight line, the shoulder line. Okay, that is stopping at the armhole line. Now go up by 3 inches from the armhole line to sharpen my armhole so that you avoid any form of bulge by the armhole line. You don't want to have puff around there. Now my bust divided by 4 is 10 inches. Okay, so I'm going to connect my from the shoulder point to the 0.75 that I'm going to tighten the armhole and then connect it to my bust line. This tightening of the armhole is very important. You can see the way it is, so that you do not have bulge around the armhole when after fixing your sleeve. So for the both neckline, I'm marking 2 inches from the shoulder point, 2 inches from the shoulder point in. The rest will be the neckline. Okay, so you can see as wide as it is, that will serve as the boat neckline. So what we have for the shoulder is just 2 inches. All right, so from the center front, I will mark my bust span, that is nipple to nipple measurement. I will connect it on a straight line down to my half length. Then at the waistline, I'm going to take 1/2 inch on both sides to tighten for my dart intake, not to tighten yet. We're still going to remove something more. Okay, connecting it to the bust line or to the bust point. So at the under bust, I'm going to mark 1 inch from the outer dart leg, and then the other side I'll mark 1/2 inch. 1 inch on this part, 1/2 inch on that part. So see the way I'm placing my cuff. This is how I'll place it to connect it on the bust point. But then to the waistline, I'm going to keep it straight like this. You can keep it straight or just slant your hand a little. You can see the way it is there. Right, so you can measure the size of that you have there, but then still does not matter. We're still going to measure it more again. Now connecting to my armhole, see the way I placed my cuff. You can connect it to any part of the armhole that you so desire. I connected it to the midpoint of the armhole. Now I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches, and I'll still connect it to the bust point. Right, that is to tighten the armhole. Now because I tightened by 1.5 inch, I will go up from this point by 1.5 inches. That will form my new armhole line. Once I finish this connection, that will go from the armhole line to the that point at the under bust. Okay, so my new armhole starts from the 1.5 inch that I connected up, and I will draw the line. We're going to redraw the line like so. I hope you're following. I hope it's making sense. Then at this other point, see the one placing my curve. That's how you place yours and connect it. All right. So we're now going to take our actual vertical measurement. So I'm going to take horizontal or whichever one. I will mark my bust circumference, divide by 4. I will mark my under bust, divide by 4, excluding the dart intake. The same applies to the waistline, waist divide by 4, excluding the dart intake. Okay, so we're going to connect the lines together. First, connect the armhole to the bust line, and then connect the bust line to the under bust and then to the waistline. Okay, so to tighten our bust, we're going to take the bust dart, come down by 1 inch, which is the difference between the front length and the back length, and I'll connect it to the bust point. All right, so our pattern is ready for our armhole princess dart, and we're going to be cutting it out, but then we'll move over to the back side. So for the back, I'm going to mark shoulder to waistline for the back, shoulder to armhole. So for the waistline, I'm going to go in by 0.75 so that the zipper does not bulge. Please, whenever you're drafting your pattern, make sure you do this. Okay, go in by 0.5, 0.75, slant it towards the neckline before starting your measurement. It reduces the bulge by the zipper area. So my bust line, I'm going to mark the bust measurement. Okay, and this is my armhole line to connect the depth of the armhole. Now we're going for the back, we're following the armhole for the front. Okay, so I've already gotten the armhole for the front, and that is the same line that I marked at the back side. So I just slanted it with my curve to the shoulder line, and the shoulder line for the back is slanted by 1 inch. So here is the dart line for the back. The divide the armhole line into two to get your dart position for the back, and waist divide by 4 plus 1 inch dart intake. Okay, so I'm connecting from that armhole point to my waistline. Now I'm also going to mark my dart position for the waistline, which is going to correspond with the same thing at the armhole line, and I'm going to rule it on a straight line. We're then going to take 1/2 inch on both sides. I hope you're following this. If you've watched up to this part, please kindly subscribe to this channel for more detailed um, drafting on different designs and sewing as well. Okay, please do also follow the instruction as I'm talking, even though the markings are there. You can see the light is shaking, so it might definitely go off some at any point in time, and it might not be so clear. Okay, so I'm connecting the dart legs, 1/2 inch on both sides, and then 1 inch below the armhole line so that it does not become pointy. So for the back one, having a shoulder line for the dart, so I'm going to divide it and connect the dart line. But then because we did both neckline for the back, I'm equally going to take the same measurements for the back. The depth of the back neckline is 1.5 inch. Then the width of the neckline is the same as the front. Okay, so whatever is left, 2 inches for the dart, for the shoulder line, or for the shoulder, I'm going to connect my dart legs there. You can also connect to the armhole. It shows that I'm used to doing something like this. You can connect it to into your armhole and it will still be okay. This is just what I like to do. Okay, so the back is not an issue. We are done with our drafting and armhole princess darts with our both neckline and everything is perfect. Now it's time to close the bust darts, which I've already done, and then we cut it out as like so. So you're going to cut in between the lines that you've marked. That is where we are cutting. In case you do not know how to cut or you're confused about the cutting, that's why I need to show us this part. Okay, so in between the lines that you've drawn, that is where you're going to be cutting. I don't like skipping parts when I'm teaching unless it's inevitable and where necessary. Okay, so we are going to tighten the neckline. Since this neckline is wide, there's every tendency that it's going to gape. So I'll put line this way and then close 0.5, 0.25 on this side. I'll close it by 0.25, and then if it's not relaxing, I will open the lower part and transfer the fullness there, and that means it's going into the armhole. Okay, so we're done with that drafting. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you practice what you've learned. I'll see you next time in the next video. Please stay tuned, subscribe to this channel until I come your way next time. Thank you and bye bye.